Welcome back to some new PettyRevenge stories, where people share small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Out of Spite. At my job, I lead a team that manages half of a miserable process. The other half is done by an entirely different department. The process is a big pain. The other department's director, let's call her Kay, despises me. It's for all the dumb reasons that give women a bad rap in professional settings. Jealousy, territorial, drama. The glass ceiling could have been constructed because of a woman just like Kay. When the needed frequency of this process kept increasing, I made a call to outsource my team's part of it. It was cheaper, the vendor seemed competent, and they even had an impressive AI that has since proven them to be more efficient than my own team, and definitely hers. This decision made Kay furious, as she had repeatedly expressed her opinion that she should control the whole process. The only reason my team was needed at all is that she lacked the needed tech-oriented resources on her team. Yet, she continuously made excuses for why she couldn't just train her team and instead demanded to hire more buddies. Since her team already demonstrated problems with efficiency and accuracy, the leadership refused to approve new roles. Kay made my life miserable any chance she got. She tried repeatedly to sabotage the deal, saying she didn't think the render would work. Classic attempts like spreading unfound doubts, saying it's too complicated, and even some cringe personal attacks on our leadership call. The savings were too good though, and the vendor even included a quality clause. In 6 months, if they were bad, I'd look like an idiot, but we could get out of our contract. So onboarding the vendor got underway, despite her efforts. The last step was agreeing on what the new process would be. There were two options. One had the benefit of more control and oversight by me, but it wasn't very efficient and was more work and headache for my team. It did, however, lessen the impact on Kay. I got the proposal together for leadership. Then I started mentally prepping for the battle I knew she'd put up when I realized she'd probably disagree just to be difficult, regardless of the actual impact, and attempt to make me look bad in front of leadership. I was so sure of it that at the last minute I decided to gamble. I'd explained both and endorsed the one that benefited her most. I had not even finished speaking my endorsement before she was unmuted and protesting. I nodded and smiled and let her finish, then praised her great insight and instantly agreed to her terms. Leadership immediately approved, probably grateful the ordeal was finally over. It took 2 weeks for her to realize what she had done. She had freed my team of the process entirely. All the questions, late nights, chasing people down, she had agreed to it all and had no way to back out. After all, that is what she fought for. After 2 more weeks, she straight up resigned. I hope I never forget the smug look on her face after winning in front of leadership. The next story is called Cutting a Drive-Thru. I was grabbing food at Portillo's, where they have 2 lanes for busy times. They close off the second lane, unless it's lunch or dinner rush. They take your order on food and walk down the line of cars to speed up the process. I pulled in behind a few cars mid-afternoon, and we were waiting for someone to come to take our orders. This jerk pulls right into the second one, because apparently we are all morons and he's a genius getting into the short line. He crept up to where his lane was cut off by traffic cones, when I caught eyes with the lady in front of me through her mirror. We both gave a look, and she pulled up blocking him from getting in. I tried hugging her bumper, but this guy was really set on getting in front of me. He sped up and crept in. As I said, there are people who walk and take the orders. After he takes the order from the woman in front of me, he starts making his way to the guy cutting. I leaned out the window and said, "Hey man, can you make that dude wait? He's trying to cut in front of all of us." The kid looked at the car, looked at me, gave a head nod and came to take my order. This guy went all the way to the second window before his order was taken, yelling out the window, waving his card at the kids, and he was sent to the parking spots to wait for his food. Thankfully, the manager was at the second window, so I let him know what a great job his employees did, and not to reprimand them because they did the right thing. The third story is called Mr. Important. I'm sitting at the airport, minding my own business, when this couple comes into the gate area, arguing loudly. Well, he is. She is walking beside him as he berates her for taking so long, and now he won't have time to grab a cup of coffee. They haven't even called for our flight yet, so there's plenty of time. But I guess Mr. Important Man can't tell time. He huffs down the aisle in front of me, slamming my knee with his carry-on. He doesn't stop, doesn't apologize, just slams himself into a seat on the other side of the table next to me. There's obviously a nasty hushed argument going on, which I am trying desperately to ignore. Moments later, Mr. Important stands up and marches away, hitting my knee again. The woman and target of his frustration is still sitting there, so I see no reason why he needed his carry-on. 20 minutes later, he comes back, muttering about horrible service, and puts his cup of coffee down on the table between us. Boarding is called for our flight, and I get up to board the flight. As I stood up, my purse accidentally knocked his coffee cup over. Oh well, just like my knee wasn't his problem, his coffee cup isn't mine. The last story is called Learned Her Lesson. It's been about a decade since this happened. I live on a street where some houses have driveways, but some others don't, and we have to park in the street. We had just enough room to park our 2 vehicles in front of our house. A new neighbor called in across the street. I'll call her Brittany. Brittany had a tiny Prius and parked in front of our house a lot. She didn't have a driveway. The space in front of our house was almost always empty when this happened. At the time I had a toddler and a newborn. Getting them into the house was a pain when I had to circle the block and park on the other side of the street. I would be hauling the car seat in one hand while juggling a diaper bag, groceries and a toddler that hadn't developed a sense of self-preservation yet. The thing that got me was that there would be plenty of space for 2 cars to park, but Brittany couldn't be bothered to pull forward or scoot back. She usually parked right in the middle, so no one else could park near her car. One day I had had enough. I hauled the baby, the stuff and the toddler up to her porch and knocked politely on her door. Hey, I live across the street. I was just wondering if you could park in front of your house instead of mine, please. That's like really inconvenient for me to drive around the whole block just to park. I know, but as you can see, gesturing to the circus at my feet, I have my hands full. It makes it harder when you park in front of my house. Can you please try parking in front of yours instead? Look, I'll just park where I want. There are no assigned spaces. And with that, she slams the door. Oh, it was on. I wasn't sure what my revenge would be, but I knew it would be coming. The opportunity came a couple of days later. I came home and my spouse was already parked in front of her car. But lo and behold, the next door neighbor wasn't home yet. I could park behind her. I'd have to scoot up to make sure there was enough room for my other neighbor. They were innocent in all this. So I pulled up behind her and checked the space. 2 feet of room. Back into the car to inch forward some more. Checked again. Still had a good foot. I kept doing this till there was literally inches between our bumpers. And here's the thing. I had 2 cars at my disposal now, whereas she only had 1. So into the spouse's van I go, to inch backward until they were only inches from kissing bumpers. Perfect. Point of note, both of my vehicles were old, scratched and beaten up. I probably wouldn't notice another dent in them. But the Prius was pristine. I knew Brittany wasn't likely to risk it. I expected that I would get a knock on the door sometime that evening. But when I took the trash out that night, Brittany and her Prius were gone. She must have executed a 200-point turn to get out. I crackled to myself and went to bed happy. The best part was, she stopped parking on my side of the street after that one incident. I guess she realized it really was more convenient to park on hers. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.